Hey, this is Trevor, one of your hosts of the Holo Health Podcast, and we're excited for today's conversation where Alex sits down with David Pollack. You might be familiar with David from his time at the UGA, time in the NFL, or maybe even his time at ESPN. But today we sit down to hear how the Lord has been writing his story, what he's been up to, and how he's pursuing health in every area. You're going to want to listen to this because we talk all things building a healthy family and taking ownership of your health, leading yourself well so you can lead others. We hope you enjoy this conversation with David Pollack.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Holo Health Podcast. I appreciate you tuning in. This episode is going to be super special. My name is Alex. I'm your host, and I have a new friend. Might not be new to you, but his name is David Pollack. David, first off, thanks for having this conversation. How are you doing today?
Wonderful, bro. Thanks for having me on, man.
We were chatting right before we started recording, and you just finished with a workout. Tell everybody what you did, and we'll keep going from there.
Well, everybody who's watching can see I'm sweating gravy. So, we do it about 4 or 5 days a week, sometimes 6 with a bunch of my buddies. A lot of them play college sports, and we just do things that suck, homie. Like we just try to find ways to really challenge ourselves and, do death by sleds and 2K rows and just as many things as we can that is difficult to try to fight Father Time. So. I think you got to keep that dog barking. You got to find challenges. I think we naturally, as we get older, fall into easy and comfort, and we do less and less that's difficult. And I think because of that, we slow down a lot. So we're just trying to stay sped up, and nothing like having a group of guys that hold you accountable, that push you, that won't let you slack off. And it's so much better for us to do it together than doing it by yourself.
The most important question, David, is what was the workout and did you win? That is most important. Tell us.
Bad question because the answer is always yes. We always got to take care of business, baby. Got to. We do some interesting rigs of how we do it sometimes, and but I always got the guy who's the least experienced or the worst at whatever the competition is, and then we work our way for teams from there. Sure. But today we did row. We did 24-minute AMRAP. We did row. That means as many rounds as possible for people that don't know. But like a row machine, straight to farmer's carries, up and down the gym. Then we went straight to thrusters. Then we went straight to med ball tosses. Then we went straight to weighted sit-ups and then back to row. So, 24 minutes as fast as you can possibly go. And then whichever team got the most amount of reps won. Now that we do the strength first. So we did strength for 45 minutes to an hour. But then we always do some kind of stupid, miserable challenge and something at the end that we got to compete, suck it up, and see who's going to win for the day.
Do one of you guys make it up, or do you follow a programming, or how do you decide when you get to the gym with the 4 or 5 of you guys what to do?
We text each other a lot. We started a feed, and we text each other a lot, which is cool because we'll put on there stuff that we find that are, whether it's 2K rows, and we started with 2K rows years ago, and then we'll start, 1K row as fast as possible, and then we'll do – all this stuff. We started graduating to the ski machine, and we have the bike, the assault bike. So whatever challenges we can find, and then we just kind of mix them together and just make it miserable. A lot of times we throw in wall balls, an insane amount of wall balls. One time we did something stupid where we did wall balls, kettlebell swings, and every time you went up by 10 until you couldn't go anymore. So you're doing like 80 or 90 wall balls at a time, which is really fun. But just we try to find things, and then some of us have a couple of buddies are older that we have different things that we'll modify a little bit, or like, dude, if it hurts, don't do it. Like, let's find a different variant of this instead of being stupid, And so I think as we get older, we're starting to do that. Like I don't go over 225 on bench anymore. I've scoped my elbow twice, and so like today I did 5 seconds down on bench. I did a 2-second pause, and then I did 5 seconds up for sets of 12. Like something like that, just to keep the weight. You can do time under tension more. You can do some. You can find ways to adjust it to your health deficiencies or things that hurt.
David, let's go there since we just brought it up, and then we can kind of take a right turn here. Is you mentioned getting out of your comfort zone proven to yourself that you can do hard things. I think that's important physically because that's how we grow. That's how we gain muscle, get faster, stronger, fitter. How does that also relate into other areas like your marriage or your work or your kids or different areas of health? Why is that such an important lesson?
Well, I don't think it's just physical. I think it's mental as well. Like you're knowing that you can, because here's the thing: the mind stops us. The body doesn't stop us. 90% of the time, I'm convinced the mind stops us. And I try to convey this to my kids all the time. Your mind's always telling you that you're exhausted and you don't have more, but your body always has more. I mean, your body can continue to push and push further than you thought it could. So, just like I got a cold plunge, and the studies show that if you put the cold plunge on 45, 50 degrees, like it's the same thing. Mine's on 36. Like, and my buddy Russ Tanner, who played center with me at Georgia, he was like, why do you have to go to extreme? Why can't you just put it on what is good for us? I'd put on 36 and I do 12 minutes. I was like, because I want to do hard things and I want to push myself mentally and make myself hurt and make myself struggle, because I think when we lose the ability to struggle well, we stop being able to solve problems. Like, you have to be able to understand, like, I'm gonna fail. Things are gonna get hard. And how am I gonna respond when it gets hard? Am I gonna look for a way out, or am I gonna look for an answer? And I think that's what I love about the weight room, man. Like, the weight room, the weight is hard. We get to the point where we cannot push it anymore, and the weight is gonna win. The row machine is going to win. It's just a matter of when. So how can we push ourselves beyond what we thought? How can we make our mind, how can we trick our minds into continuing to work? Like, there's all kinds of tricks during workouts you can use, like a row machine. I'll just close my eyes instead of, watching that thing count down, and I'll count 10 pulls and look up and where am I at? Like, especially when I do long distance rows, like a 10K row or something, I might do that for 100, and just see where I'm at. Oh, sweet. I'm not just staring at it the whole time. So you got to find ways to balance how you can trick your mind and continue to stay sharp and not let the mind win, because it will tell you, shut down. This is hard. Don't do it. You're not strong enough. You're tired. You're exhausted. All those things will come into play.
David, I want to go back and I want you to share maybe the few-minute version of your story. I think it's inspiring, but I also think it's telling of who you are as a person, what you've accomplished, but not just what you do, but who you are. So give us just the quick few-minute version of the story that God has scripted for you and what you're doing now, and we're going to really dig into it.
Well, I was a football player, went to the University of Georgia. I was a 3-time All-American at Georgia, got drafted by the Cincinnati Bengals. Ever since I was 6 years old, my lifelong dream was to play in the NFL. I was a first-round draft pick in 2005. Told my wife we ain't going to Hawaii until I make a Pro Bowl. My second year in the NFL, second play, second game. This was the year that I was ready to rock and roll, do well. I hit Reuben Drones, and it's the first time I hit and I couldn't get up. And went under. They took me underneath the stadium, and they put you on the gurney, and then they cut off your helmet, your shoulder pads, and they get an MRI and come out and heard the words that would change my life forever. And they said, hey, you fractured your C6, C7. I was like, cool. I'm out a couple weeks. They're like, that means you broke your neck. I was like, ooh, like, can we stick to the fractured C6, C7? Because that sounds a heck of a lot better than a broken neck.
Sure.
And then just God put me on a journey, man. Like, it was really, really cool. I became a Christian when I was a senior in high school, and started to really grow in my faith under the tutelage of Mark Rick at Georgia. And then this was the first time, like, all right, let's see if you can walk it out. Like, you've told people that hard times are coming, and you've told people about your faith, and now, like, you got dotted right between the eyeballs. And what does it look like? What are you going to do? Are you going to rely on God? And God's been doing amazing things in my life since, man. And then came ESPN out of the blue, which was a total God thing. And I started doing well with that, and then got to College Game Day. And then guess what? And this is always my advice for everybody when I go speak, because now I'm a public speaker, I guess, and a motivational speaker, is like, if you're not coming out of a storm, I got some really bad news. One's coming. And so, I came out of a storm and I found my footing and did TV and loved it and went to College Game Day. Well, then you get fired. They tell you, you gone. You don't work here no more. Well, what's your response look like? Like, the older I get, man, the less, Alex, I'm worried about what happens to me as much as how I respond to it. Like,
Yeah.
that's all I care about. Like, what does my response look like? And so I started to pour myself into my community, my family, and it's been really, really cool. And again, like doing speaking, doing working out. I'm coaching high school girls basketball, which is fan freaking tastic. I mean, it is one of the coolest things ever because my daughter plays, she's a freshman. I coach high school football. My son plays, he's a sophomore. So just living a great life, man. Just thankful for right where I'm at, and just going to keep chugging along. And that's the quickest way I can recap my story for you.
In 30 seconds, tell us about your family, wife, kids, all that.
I got a beautiful wife, Lindsay Pollack. She's my only girlfriend I've ever had. We started dating when she was 15. She was in high school for 2 years while I was at the University of Georgia. We got married super young. Had Nicholas first. Nicholas Pollack is about to be 16 in August. Leah just turned 14 in May, my daughter. So rising sophomore, rising freshman in high school. So officially on the clock, homie. I got 3 years with my little man, and I got 4 years with my baby girl. So trying to soak up every daggone moment I can.
David, I loved when you talked about the storm. Whether you're in one now or one's coming, let's say someone's listening or say you're talking to me and I'm in the middle of a storm. What are you telling me right now as far as your response, how to get out of it, first steps, tips? I'm in a storm right now. What do I do?
Dude, it's one step in front of the other. How do you climb a mountain? One step at a time, right? Like I can't get overwhelmed with my circumstances. I got to make the next right move. I got to take that step. I got to make sure I'm going to do these 3 things today. Like that's something that I started 12, 14 years ago, doing everyday counts, and just text message yourself the night before. I'm going to get X, Y, and Z done. Like, first of all, we all have a heck of a lot to be thankful for. And just like when I was in my neck or when I got fired, like, you look around and there's a lot of people that are going through a lot worse. So
Good
let's
point.
look at your situation for what it is. Like, there's people that buried their kids today, right? Like, there's people that are going through, got a terminal illness, that have lost loved ones and very recently, just dealing with some really, really hard things. So I think that everyday approach, taking care of your mind, body, your spirit, those are things that you can control. You can control your health. Health is such a big part of how you deal with things. If you physically are healthy, you're mentally healthier. You're a better mom, you're a better dad. Like, all of that is tied together. So I think it's small victories every day. It's evaluating where you are. It's making the next right move you can make.
Man, I have 14 questions, but I'll narrow it down to one. David, you talked about your health there. I want to specifically narrow into your health, but not just physically. We talked about that a little bit at the beginning of this episode. I want to talk about the health of your family, the health of your soul, the health of you. In my opinion, health is misunderstood in a lot of different ways. People think health is just diet and exercise. Health is this, where health is everything. Health is the status of your marriage. Health is at work. Health is what kind of father you are, like you're saying. I want to narrow into like the family. What makes up a healthy family? Because obviously you have your perspective right of your kids are grown, you're coaching them, you're invested. What makes up a healthy family to you?
Well, it starts to me with my relationship with God.
Yeah.
And I have to have a great relationship with God that comes above all else, because I am his child and I answer to him. Then when you are a family, by the way, this is very easily understood if you read your Bible. But if you want a healthy family, your marriage comes next, not your kids.
Yeah.
Your marriage comes before your kids. I see a lot of families that the kids rule the household and they rule the schedule and they rule what's going on. No. You and your wifey come first. And that means we've got to find time to get away with each other. We got to find time with just me and her. We got to make sure that we're loving on each other, fulfilling each other's needs. We understand what their love language is, where we can help, where we can pour in. And then the kids come next. I think that order, Alex, gets out of whack, and I think it jacks us up and gets us out of whack. But, you have to define what is success for your family.
Yeah.
Like, our family has a motto, and that we every decision we make is around our family motto. And my wife, we want to raise kids who are becoming adults. We want to raise responsible adults who have a genuine relationship with Jesus. Like, that's our family motto.
Yeah.
Like, you got to figure out what your family motto is, and you got to make sure that you're taking steps to make sure that that motto is coming to life. And everything that comes your way, does that fit? Like, do travel sports fit into my motto? Am I missing church every Sunday? That doesn't fit in the Pollack motto. Okay, that's not in our realm. Like, we love sports. I love sports. I played sports, but missing church every Sunday is not an option. Like, our kids not doing chores is not an option if they're going to be raised to be responsible young adults. You know what I'm saying? So I think that is an important thing, is wife comes first, kids come second. Find out what you want your family to stand for. Make those non-negotiables, and then go out and live it, man. And again, we'll fail. Like, the Pollacks fail all the time, and we don't do things that we don't succeed in all of our goals, but then we make a purposeful effort to make sure we get back to where we want to be, and put those rules in place and those parameters, those guardrails in place that will help us get there.
I want to go down the route that you just said, because it's a common tension to manage with a lot of people, especially with kids getting into sports. How do you manage the tension of sports and life? Because travel sports seem to be all consuming, but like you said, if you don't have an anchor, if you don't have a definition of success, it will pull you away from your success as a family. How do you manage that? Because it's not black or white. You don't say, hey, you can never play sports, but then you also don't let it run your life. How do you manage that tension?
Well, it's pretty simple if you have the perspective on the things that are very important to you. First of all, what you have to understand is you're not missing out on anything. Travel sports are there to make money. That's it. Travel sports exist to make a bunch of money. It's not to, like, your team isn't going to determine your success. Because my kid played on a certain team, it does not mean they're going to have a few. Dude, I got so many kids that I'm around, they didn't play any of that crap. They didn't do any of that crap. You know what they are? They're freaking talented. They're really good. By the way, I never played on a travel team. I never had a personal coach. I never had a personal trainer. I didn't work out. I was a sophomore in high school. I hit puberty, started lifting weights, like, grew and got bigger, and I was a first-round draft pick. I played in my neighborhood. I rode my bike. Like, it had nothing to do with except that God gave me big legs, and I was explosive, and I had a good mindset. Like, I think there is a team that exists, because there's so many teams now, that fits exactly what you want your family to be. It's your job to find it. Don't be lazy. Like, if you're in a situation that you don't like, get the heck out, bro. Like, there are plenty of teams, and those teams don't define your kid's success. Like, sport is supposed to be fun. Yeah, I want my kid to learn lessons and do this. Well, if you're taking your whole summer when your kids are little and you're playing sports the whole time, I would contend you're doing it wrong, because here's the cold hard truth. I got a freshman and a rising freshman and a rising sophomore. Their summers are gone except for 2 weeks now because of sports, high school sports. There will be a time when that comes. Enjoy the piss out of what you got now. Like, take trips, do fun things, go get in camps. Like, let them ride around the neighborhood. Like, they're going to be okay. So I think it's frustrating to see when you look around, man, like, how many parents they make it miserable. And, I think sports should be fun. You want your kids to learn the lessons. And here's the thing. If you want them to be really good in the end, if they love it, they'll work.
Yeah.
If they love it, they'll work. If you make it a job and you grind them out, you got no shot. Plenty of kids at Georgia that were way more talented than me. And I legitimately loved what I did. I loved being there. It was fun as crap. I enjoyed every second of it. I got to lift. I got to work. I got to practice. I got to do all these things. I didn't have to. A lot of those people were like, I have to do this again. And I was like, dude, this is fantastic. Like, I get to go chew on metal? Yes, sign me up. So I think as parents, we're missing the mark a lot on where we're placing our priorities. And if you place your priorities, where you want them to succeed, and you make sure that they're doing the things they need to do, and you're keeping sports at a minimum, listen, do everything. My daughter's was all into acting and singing. Go ahead, baby girl, do it. Like, I don't care what you do. Now, listen, you ain't gonna sit around the house. Like, let's be clear, Alex. We ain't sitting around the house. We're gonna find things to do. But it doesn't have to be organized sports every day. And if you got a team that's, when they're little, they're practicing every day for hours a day, like, I'd get off the team.
David, I have two more main questions as we're kind of rounding third in our conversation. I want to piggyback off of what you just said. We talked about healthy families, healthy parenting, sports, priorities, all that stuff. I want to kind of take a step further and talk about healthy men, because I'm a man talking to another man in a context of a health podcast. A healthy man impacts everything. Your perspective, your marriage, your work, all of that stuff. Where in your experience, knowledge, mindset, all this stuff, are men missing the mark? And what message do you want to send men about, hey, we got to step up and be healthy men?
I think men, here's what I've learned. Men were created and designed to be the leader of the household. But what I've learned a million times over by seeing it is if you don't lead, women will absolutely step up.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. Women are phenomenal at it. Like, they will pick up the pieces and they will make that thing work, and it'll be fantastic. But you are given a God-given authority. Your words weigh more than anybody else's in your kids' lives.
Amen.
You realize? Like, your words weigh 1,000 pounds. Moms are fantastic, necessary. My wife teaches my kids more about compassion and love than anybody in this world could ever do, and better than I can. But man, oh man, my words cripple them. My words matter.
Yeah.
So, like, I've got to do a good job. But listen, it starts with me. If I get up if I'm selfish in my morning, Alex, I can be selfless the rest of my day.
Wow.
But I got to get up for me. I got to get my quiet time. I got to get my goals in order. I got to get my things done that keeps me healthy. I got to get a workout. That's a non-negotiable for me. Like, we have to understand we've got to get our things done to keep us healthy, to keep us strong, so we can lead. Like, I eat healthy. I eat super healthy. I'm a freak. My friends make fun of me, and that's okay. But I know what I'm going to eat in a day. I eat the same meals every day. Like, there's not a decision. I don't have to make a decision to make this hard. I know what I'm going to eat. I know what I'm going to work out. Like, let's stop being passive and let's start being passionate and start taking control of our family's lives. Like, you were given the authority to lead. Are you going to use it? But if you can't take care of yourself, like, leadership, everything you've ever read in your life about leadership starts with leading by example. Are you leading your family by example? Are you doing the things that show them what it looks like? Like, I want them to be disciplined. Are you disciplined?
Yeah.
If you ain't, more is caught than taught, bro. Like, if you're not in good shape, you're not eating right, you're not working out, you know what happens? You become lazier. You don't want to do things in the yard. You tell them no. You ain't going to play with them when they ask you. And guess what? Then they stop asking. And you wonder why your kid won't talk to you. Gee, I don't know. Like, I got to get invested in their lives. So there was a lot in there, Alex, with your answer. But, like, men we have to step up and take our God-given right that God's given us as a leader.
So I'm an unhealthy dad. I'm an unhealthy male listening right now. You just motivated me. David, you're right. I need to step up into my God-given leadership and authority. What do I do? Where's my starting point?
Now you're in my wheelhouse, Alex, because I can't, like, I'm a defensive lineman, by the way, so see ball, get ball, we're all dumb. That's why we play defense. Like, we can give me these broad spectrum things, but I need you to base it down and bring it back to, like, square one. Are you dominating your mornings?
Morning routine.
You got to dominate your mornings. You got to get a morning routine and dominate your mornings. Get your crap done early where you have the most motivation, you have the most energy. And then I know I've accomplished that. Like, I need a plan, man. If I go in the weight room without a plan, you're wasting your freaking time. Like, I want to eat right. I want to eat better. I want to eat healthier. Take a week and write down everything you eat. Everything that goes in your mouth. It's called a food journal. Write that down and you will blow yourself away. You'll be like, crap, man. I didn't think I was eating this bad. I didn't think I was drinking this bad. Like, again, very few goals that are huge or grand or, big and challenging, they're not going to be conquered in a day. Like, you need to create those small habits and make every single day count, every decision. You know what? Here's another thing too, Alex. I've found that a lot of us, man, we are gun-ho, mess up, bam, we're off the cliff. When I mess up, bro, get back between the lines and start driving the car again.
Yeah.
We're not going off of a cliff. Like, newsflash, you're going to mess up. Newsflash, build in some mess ups. Reward yourself. It's okay to reward yourself and say, okay, I'm gonna be really great this week, and Sunday I'm gonna have a different meal. That's okay. Like, because here's the thing, I was a fatty, Alex. Like, I was 292 at my heaviest. Like, big boy, and I love Popeye's biscuits like nobody's business. And I used to drive by, and I used to get 6. And guess what? I could not stop that habit. So you know what? I went by, I got 6. Well, I remember one day I ate 3. I remember one day I ordered 1. And I remember the day that I ordered 1, I bit 1 bite and I threw it out the window. And then I remember the day I ordered 0.
Wow.
Like, it's got to be those small steps, man. 1% better, 1% better every day, 1% better. Dude, that over a year is enormous. It's killer. So, make those small steps. But, dude, write your freaking goals down. Put them on pen and paper. Share them with someone for accountability. And then go. Do it the next day. Knock it out in the morning. Get it done when you got the most energy. Be selfish in the morning so you can be selfless the rest of the day.
David, so your morning routine, I believe it's a keystone habit. It'll set your whole day up for success. What time is your alarm going off in the morning?
See, and this is mine is determined all on what my day is.
Right.
So whatever my first thing is, I'm going to give myself an hour. I go straight to the hot tub, even when it's Africa hot right now. It's on 103 degrees every morning. I get right in the hot tub and I pray for 20 minutes. I set the stage of my day. Like, I am still in the hot tub, eyes closed. I'm thinking about all the things that I need to get done. I'm praying about the things that I want to pray about that are important to me. And I'm laying the groundwork for my day. Like, I am literally, for me, that is it. I'm inviting God into my day. And it makes my day so much better. That is where I start my day every single morning. So I have a different routine. I have noon usually that's off. So my workout group is at 12, like every single day. Like, that's my workout group. That's where my guys can come. I block that time. That time ain't negotiable, bro. Like, we're doing a podcast. It was after my workout group.
Yep.
When we're doing this and we're making this schedule, I'm like, I'm busy till 1:30.
Yep.
Like, then I'll be available, So for me, the morning sets the stage for the day. The morning gets me going, gets my quiet time. I get my steps, and then I read. I love to read after that. And I'm going to read different books, different things. That's part of my morning routine after that. And then I'm ready to rock and roll and go attack my day and whatever I had to do. And again, it's different for the seasons for me because I coach girls basketball, varsity basketball. I coach boys varsity football, and trying to negotiate those are sometimes difficult of, what I'm working out. But again, I want to be best when I'm with my kids. And the summer's different. Summer's harder. Like, summer's way harder for me because they're home all the time and they're in your business and your schedule. I've also got to allow for some flexibility, Alex. I got to allow for, like, okay, they want me to do something with them. Like, all right, I'm choosing to get rid of this, but I need to put it back on the calendar later.
Right.
Right? Like, I need to get it done. I might have to get that done a little bit later. But the non-negotiables are in the morning. What time do I need to be here? What is my first assignment? Whatever your first assignment is, get your ace up and get your other crap done. If you need 2 hours, then get up 2 hours early. If you need 1, then get up 1 hour early. Like, that's incumbent upon you to figure that out. And then I think once you start to get a habit of that, like, I think you'll become very successful. And again, it will be fluid and it won't be perfect all the time, but I think it gives you the best chance to be successful.
Man, David, that pumped me up. Last question as we are finishing up this conversation. It's probably one of my favorite questions, David, is let's say someone's listening to this episode that is fans of me, fans of you, whatever. They're just listening, and they're not really a faith person. They're not really a Jesus person. They know I am. They know you are. What would you tell that person? Maybe they're interested or whatever, but what would you tell that person about faith, Jesus, all that stuff?
I love the question. Here's the thing. We are told in our lives, like on socials, everywhere you go, there's always a narrative. And most of the time, there's a method to the madness of what you hear, when you hear it, why you hear it. And there's a connection point, and there's all kinds of algorithms that run our lives. Here's what happened to me. What happened to me was 2 things. One, someone invited me. It is not your job to always, you don't have to preach the gospel. If you're living your life for Jesus and that's important to you, your job is to invite people to church.
Yeah.
Get your butt there. I
Yeah.
found out about church. One of my neighbors goes, "Hey man, I want to invite you to a lock-in." I was like, "What's a lock-in, bro?" I'm a junior in high school. He was like, we go to the church and they lock us in. I'm like, "No, what the freak are you talking about?" He was like, no. Like, you play sports and you get to stay up all night. In. Absolutely 1,000%
I'll
in.
do that.
Didn't
yeah.
know what I would hear with it, but that was the first time a simple invite. Everybody has that ability to invite. 2, I had a teacher named Mark Watson who lived his life in a manner that I looked at and I respected. The biggest witness you'll ever have is when you watch somebody live their life and you're like, they're different. Like,
Wow.
that's your biggest testimony. Not how you craft scripture, not how you talk, not how you like Pharisaically deliver prayers or anything like that. It's literally how you live your life. People are going to respect it or they're not. So I say all of that. Like, there's different ways as Christian for your responsibilities in this. But here's what I would challenge everybody out there that doesn't have faith. Explore it for yourself. Don't listen to everyone else. I started to read the Bible when I was a junior in high school, and I was reading a story about a guy that it made no sense. This book's written about him with all these books, 66 books, all these different point of views from a historical perspective. That if you think about it, if you look up all these great emperors back in the day, you've got a blog like this. This
Sure.
wasn't Wikipedia, homie.
Right.
This isn't when you had, like, you can go on there and find my eye color and my favorite color and all this crap. This was the time when you only recorded things for historical context. And you got a whole book devoted to a guy named Jesus that was born of nothing, that became, that everyone wanted to become king of this earth because he was such a big deal. He did performed all these different miracles and all these different, and it's recorded. And listen, I would love for you to go read it for yourself. But here's where I think a lot of people miss it. If someone told you a lie, or if someone told a lie, if I told you, Alex, a lie, and you asked me about something and I told you a lie, and you're like, "Dude, you're lying. Like, I know you're lying. And if you don't tell me the truth, I'm going to kill you." Alex, what would I do?
I don't know what.
I would tell the truth. I would absolutely throw anybody under the bus
Sure.
in a million years really quickly. If you look at the disciples and if you read after the Gospels and you read Acts and you read all these books, man, these are all the apostles of Jesus and the people that spent all this time with Jesus that were getting absolutely destroyed and crucified,
martyred,
like hung upside down, burned, martyred. Like, all of these bad things were happening to them. And they kept there and they kept taking it because they spent time with Jesus and they saw a resurrected Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, that's not lost on me, man. Those guys, like, everybody in this world would be like, "Nope, I'm not dying for that. I'm not dying for a lie." But those guys were getting absolutely bludgeoned and beat up and told not to share. And they kept sharing because they knew what the truth was. So I would say, man, dude, go read it for yourself. Like, make a decision by yourself, not with what everybody else around you or your circle says, man. Because it's funny. I was telling my wife this. We were driving through downtown Atlanta yesterday, and I was like, and you could see, the homeless folks, and it's amazing that the line starts outside the church. Why? Because those people are going to serve them. And us living our lives, man, like, we got to live a life worth emulating.
Yeah.
And I'm not perfect, bro. And I'm going to mess up. But again, like I told you earlier, Alex, I'm interested in your response. Like, cause if you know people in your life that are real Christians, man, when they mess up, they're going to be like, "That was me.
Yeah.
I messed that up, man." And you take that to God and you repent. But I'm a kid, man, that didn't have any faith growing up, and faith found me and it hit me upside my head, and it's so good. And my life was so radically changed that I never thought about going back. And no matter what happens in my life, God continues to show up and continues to show that he's in control of my life.
Amen.
And raising kids now, and it's hard and it's difficult, but God just keeps showing up time and time again.
I believe a truly healthy person, yes, is pursuing health physically and mentally, but ultimately has Jesus at the center. that it's not a list of beliefs. It's not a list of things to do. It's a personal relationship with someone, like you said, the apostles and the disciples witnessed. It's not just, oh, hey, let's read this document of things to do. This is something about what Jesus did. He overcame death on the cross so that we may have life and that we may experience it abundantly and experience eternal life with him. And that's what gives us hope. That's what gives me hope for my health. And that's why I want to be the best leader and father and husband that I can be, because one, the living hope I have in Jesus, and two, because that's what health provides me to do. Which is why I love this conversation, the message you're preaching, David. Last thing, and then we're going to wrap up. What do you want to encourage the listeners with, wherever they're at? A main takeaway, you are the definition of encouragement and motivation, David. What do you got?
Yeah, one thing I see with a lot of people around me is there's so many people that are they have hopes, they have dreams, and they are sitting there, and they got their armor, and they got their bullets, and they got their gun, and it's not I'm not ready yet. It's not clear yet. Something's in the way. John Maxwell, who's the main guy on leadership in the history of the world, like I asked him, or he told me this after I got fired and I was talking to him and he's been counseling me. He said, Pollack, I pastored a church for 25 years. He said, now I'm the forward most thinker on leadership. He said, I've never had a clear vision in my life.
Wow.
And I was like, really?
Wow.
Like, you're the guru guy.
Yeah.
Like, you're the guy who creates vision for people. And he was like, I keep moving forward and God crystallizes it. And then I start to see it. Dude, pull the trigger. Like, it's never going to be perfect.
Wow.
There's always going to be a reason not to pull it. There's always going to be something it's not quite there yet. You will never accomplish anything significant without failure. You will never accomplish anything significant and just go straight to the top. To get to the penthouse requires going up the stairs.
Wow.
It ain't pushing a button and going in the elevator. Like, you got to walk your butt up them steps.
Yeah.
And so I think that I see so much of that nowadays where people get paralysis by analysis and overthink things, man. Just start moving in a direction. And then you'll start to see like, oh, okay, this isn't it. Like, okay, if we tweak it, it will get a little bit better and a little bit better. But if you don't start, you can't finish, right? Like, you can't win a race you can't finish a race you didn't start.
Yeah.
And so many people, over prepare and overanalyze and then never end up doing anything of significance because they never had the guts to pull the trigger. So I say pull the trigger.
Pull the trigger. David, thank you. Thank you for your inspiration. For the people listening, how can they follow you, stay connected? What are you building? I know you're working on some projects with the foundation and everything going on. How can people stay connected with you, David?
Man, we're trying to be the best we can and just serve as many people as possible. And the Pollack Family Foundation, we're giving away stuff. We're giving away a car, by the way, right now. Like,
that's awesome.
Just, write in and tell us why you've fallen on hard times, and we're going to give you a car. Like, no strings attached. Like, literally just at the Pollack Family Foundation. It's just, we're finding ways to try to make our community better and plug in. But apparently now I'm going to be a motivational speaker, Alex. Not something I ever thought I would ever do in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I would have told you were crazy, but I do love challenging people. I love, forcing. I do love. Here's the thing: there are some people in this world that are very okay ruffling feathers, and there are some people that are very not okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Like, my wife came home from a Bible study like months and months and months ago, and she was like, "I can't believe it." And I was like, "What, David? All?" She goes, "You're a freaking peacemaker," and I was like, "I am." She was like, "We looked up the definition in Bible study of peacemaker, and we talked about it in peace faker." She was like, "I'm a peace faker." She's like, "I want everybody to be happy." She was like, "So I'm okay with the peace faking. I'm okay with faking it and making them feel good." She was like, "You are trying to bring peace to people's lives."
Wow.
So I'm trying to challenge you in a way that you can go attack something.
Wow.
And you can go be the best version of you. So I think I'm very comfortable doing that. And so it's fun. And all my socials, I'm showing a bunch of clips, but I'm speaking to companies and corporations and football teams and but most importantly, I'm serving my baby doll and my babies here by coaching high school basketball, which I never thought I would do, and high school football, and so I'm having a blast. But I'm on all the socials and all that stuff, so you can find me with all that stuff.
Go ahead and find David Pollack on all the socials. David, I appreciate you, and I just appreciate the light you're shining. You shine it so bright and shine it so well, and I appreciate your time here on the Whole Health Podcast. Listeners, thanks again. You're a legend, and we'll see you in the next episode. See ya.
Peace.